Good evening. I'm Landon with Murmurin Press. Today's video is coming from the heart. Recently, I don't know if it's the age I'm at or just the age of people around me who are getting there. As most of you know on the channel, prior service, all right? I talk about my service kind of infrequently. A few things you need to know about it. I was a Marine. I'm proud of my service, and I'm just in general glad I did it. I think it made me wiser as far as just me goes. I needed that in my life. And my veterans out there who are watching this is kind of for you. I want to talk today about how do we talk to someone who might be thinking about joining the military, or someone who asks one of my veterans. All right, combat MOS, whatever you had, I do not care. Okay, this is just across the board. The analogy I use to just explain it to people who don't know, it doesn't have to be young people asking about joining, is just that, my veterans get this. I don't miss my service, I miss my brothers, right? The analogy I use, it's kind of like an ex-girlfriend. All right, we remember that thing she does that we really like, but we don't like to remember that time she hit us with an ashtray. All right, we remember the good stuff, and we kind of push the bad stuff to the rear, right? We try to forget things that happened to us, no matter what happened. All right, this is a blanket veteran statement. All right, so what are you supposed to tell some kid, right? It helps if you know them, right? I try to get to know them a little bit. I'm not just going to have some stranger's child come up to me. If they do, I'm going to be like, don't do it. Or, ask someone who loves you is usually what I would tell them. Be like, hey, ask someone who loves you, brother. All right? I like your style, kid, but I don't know you like that. Because I wouldn't want to put that on you if you're not the right type of person. All veterans saw those people who couldn't get into the mix, right? And couldn't kind of abide, right? And train and be what they needed to be to create a successful time. It's usually bad, but you can always make it worse. So, I try to know the person first. Be like, hey, this is my friend's kid. This is my, my photographer's friend's kid, and I've met them, and maybe I've had dinner with their parents. Maybe I know their parents very well, and I just know a little bit about what they like, and maybe something, a lot of veterans have just shit happen to them in life that makes them want to go that way, all right? Or they're just extremely patriotic, right? They have a drive to serve. That's what most of us had, right? We had a drive to serve. If I don't want someone else's kid in a box, if I have to be in the box, that kind of deal. So you give them the analogy, you try to get to know them. And if you do know them, right? Let's say it's your little cousin. Let's say it's your nephew. Let's say it is your best friend's son or daughter. Okay. What do you tell them? How do you make it sound like you're in the middle? Like, hey man, bad stuff's going to happen to you, but you're going to make the best friends of your life. And things are just going to be different. You're going to be different, right? How do you make that a good selling point while making the really fun sounding stuff not so fun, right? Having to be in the middle. You tell them, you go, hey, man, listen, I am who I am today probably because of my service. But I was not always happy, okay? But I wasn't always sad either. All right, suffering with your friends is religious if you do it right. Okay, you prove things to yourself. You become more disciplined. You're going to learn things about yourself you didn't know before. But the thing I try to pick the kids that need this shit, right? I was one that needed it. You don't just go to the kid who's almost got his master's degree and go, hey man, drop what you're doing and join the military unless you're a weenie. That's not, veterans wouldn't do that anyway, but that's not what you would want to do. That's not even in your thoughts. So why would you, if a kid's on a good path, why would you say, hey man, I know your heart feels this way, but see how this goes, right? You're doing better than I was at your age. These series of events didn't make your life bad, but there are kids out there who ain't got nothing better, man. I served with one dude who grew up poor in another country and had to break into his school to eat sometimes, right? The Marines gave him the gift of sight with glasses and a citizenship. He had everything. He had everything he needed given to him by an entity that he trusted. Okay? And then I saw other guys who had everything taken from them from an entity they trusted because of their actions, right? But one thing, you find one of those young men or women that need it, you tell them, be like, listen, man, world travel and service are the last adventures. Okay, we've put people in space. The West is tamed. All right, we've put people in Antarctica. People are hiking Everest for a summer vacation now. The last adventure you could possibly have as a young person is out there in your world travels. That's it. Just experiencing other cultures. That's kind of the last frontier, especially for young folks, right? Think back to when you were 18, thinking about some backpacking trip. You didn't know anything about the world, but think about what you would have learned if you have traveled now, right? At your age now, you've done the traveling. I don't want to say that war is an adventure. War is not an adventure. And there is the possibility for war. But if you suffer with your friends the right way, it's religious. Maybe you were meant to be there. So, for my hard chargers, man, if you got people in your life, if you're thinking about joining, listen to what I said. I don't know you. Find someone who knows you. Find someone who loves you. And ask them. Ask a veteran who loves you what they think about you joining the service. Whatever it may be. I don't care what it is. All right? And I bet you they're going to arrive at the same conclusion. You're going to make friends. You're going to hate life some days. And you're going to miss them when they're gone. Show them this video. Ask them if I'm right. It's the last great adventure you can have. We don't even go to space anymore, man. We got people stuck there now. So, do yourself a favor. All right? If you are in a position in life where people ask you this often, you already have your speech. Put your synopsis of what you say to people in the comments. I want this to have a feeding effect, right? I want veterans and people who are thinking about joining coming together and being honest. Understand this. I do not go espouse how wonderful my service is to everyone. I tell them it sucked sometimes. I tell them I had the most fun I've ever had in my life sometimes. I tell them it was a great adventure sometimes. I'm telling them I was proud to serve my patriotic duty, which is true. And I think that's what a lot of these kids who are wanting to join, they're seeing all these outside forces, and that is not one of the driving things. The patriotism for your country and the will and the need to serve. All right? And if they can't do it, They need to think about other ways to serve. Volunteering, do whatever you need to do. There's just a gap, I think, with telling young people the truth about service and still needing to recruit people. There still needs to be people going, but there will always be people volunteering. They just need to volunteer for the right reasons. Give it to them. All right? Think about the possible veterans in your life. Give them a phone call. Have dinner with them. Tell them what I've told you. Show them this video. If you don't have the words, this is why I'm giving you the words. Use them. Find out what's killing you. Kick its ass. Hug your families. It's almost Christmas time, y'all. Hug your families. Call your mamas. Stay safe.